We recording. So hi you guys and welcome to my channel. I'm back with a new reaction video and we're gonna check out a cocky giant pissed off Mike Tyson, and this is what came out of it. So I'm not gonna ramble, let's get straight into this video.
At least 10 times a day, let alone the press asking me how tall I am. People in general saying, you're not as big as I thought you was. Guys your size doing all that damage. I always thought you were bigger. You know, it's to my advantage because most fighters are used to fighting opponents 6'3", 6'2", the average heavyweight. And I feel that I use it to my advantage because I move my head, I'm very quick, and I'm low to the ground, and it's very difficult to hit me.
Mike Tyson is rightfully considered as one of the greatest knockout artists in history.
Yep.
During his rise, Iron was one of the most ferocious and ruthless boxers with a concrete crushing punching power. All that said, Mike is quite short for a heavyweight, and there are middleweights today who are taller than him. Nonetheless, Tyson's modest size never stopped him from knocking out even the tallest opponents in a teeth-shattering manner.
I'm the best ever. There's never been anybody to do so. I'm Sonny Liston. I'm Jack Dempsey. There's no one like me. I'm from Nairclaw. There's no one that can match me.
Tell him, Mike.
I'm impetuous. My defense is impregnable. And I'm just ferocious. I want your heart. I want to eat your children.
Dear friends, our video today is dedicated to fights when Mike Tyson knocked out giants. Please don't forget to leave a like and a forward comment. Also, don't forget to subscribe to our channel so you can make sure that you will never miss any new videos. Let's get started.
He kind of looked like Dr. Dre a little bit there. Come on, I know it's not me. That looked a little bit like Dre. Look at this. Right? Sheesh.
Number 7. Andrew Golota. First of all, let's get it clear with the exact numbers. Mike Tyson's height is only 5 foot 11 inches, which is truly a modest
5'11"? Is that short? How much is that in centimeters? Because I'm 5'2". 5'11" doesn't sound short.
figure.
For that.
At the same time, Iron was always the same weight as his opponents, which allowed him to compete against them despite the height discrepancy. Mike fought taller boxers both at an early and late stage of his career. The fight against the Polish, Andrew Golota, belonged to the latter. The height of the European giant was 6'3", which in combination with a long reach and decent technique made him a threat to any heavyweight. Andrew won the bronze in Olympics and contested championships of main boxing leagues multiple times. However, heading into the fight with Tyson in 2000, Golota was a veteran. In addition, he was infamous due to using a lot of dirty tricks in his fights. A style of the latest version of Tyson was on full display in this bout. Relentless Mike went at the Polish, throwing shots to the body flowing into the head strikes. Using his speed, Mike neutralized the reach of Golota and in the first round scored a knockdown with an overhand right with only 12 seconds left. Confused Andrew didn't know how to deal with this beast. In the next round, Mike was imposing exchanges on his opponent and was completely destroying him there. Even the clinch couldn't help Golota. After barely surviving to the end of the round, the Polish refused to go on against this beast and left the arena, which caused a heated reaction from the fans.
Oh yeah, this is crazy. I remember now. Seen clips of this before.
Later on, the fight was declared a no contest due to Mike testing positive for marijuana, but the fact that he won never changed. Number 6. Frank Bruno. Now it's time to recall the earlier version of Tyson. Mike was still the
Did it say number 6? So it's like 7. Because like this was the first one, right? It's not top 10 or something. I was like, have we missed anything?
Defeated champion in 1989, and there was not a single heavyweight who looked like a worthy challenge for him. He had already defended one of his titles 7 times, and in the most recent fight, he ripped the head of a famous Olympian, TYRELL. An undefeated hereditary boxer, Michael Spinks, and the man who was the last one to defeat Muhammad Ali, Larry Holmes. There were almost no contenders left, and then Frank Bruno came out. This puncher from Britain is not widely remembered now, yet at one time many people believed that the pure punching power of this guy was even superior to Tyson's.
When he walked in, he kind of looked like the Frank guy from American Gangster a little bit, no? Was it,
40 wins in his career and 38 of them were finishes. He also became one of the 6 heavyweight champions from Britain. Bruno was 6'3" tall, significantly surpassing Iron in this regard. More than that, he looked like Mr. Olympia. Had it been the bodybuilding competition, Frank would have had much more chances to win. But it was boxing, and Mike was too good at this sport. Right in the first round, the American beast rushed forward and knocked Bruno down with a heavy combination.
Showing that he's not afraid, hanging on. Bruno's already tagged with a right hand. And there goes Bruno for the first time in the fight.
After recovery, Frank started throwing back quite well and had success at using clinch in order not to let Tyson turn it up. But it didn't matter at all, as the fist of iron ultimately found the head of his opponent. In the 5th round, already tired but still fuming with fury, Mike went forward and pressed Bruno against the ropes, where he did an enormous amount of damage to the contender, which forced his team to throw in the towel.
Tyson knows he's got him in big trouble. If he doesn't answer it, Richard Steele has moved in and has stopped the fight. It's all over. Michael Tyson wins on a 5th round TKO.
Lou SAVARESE. Now let's remember the fight which took place right before the one against Golota. Even though Mike was in good shape in the same 2000, yet he realized that he didn't have much time left to compete at a high level. 2 fights against Holyfield that Iron lost made it even more obvious. After losing twice, Tyson came up with the idea of becoming the champion again, and perhaps one last time. That's why he was actively asking for a fight against Lennox Lewis. The champion from Britain by that time had his own business to deal with, and besides that, he wasn't satisfied with the purse for fighting Mike. That's why they had been struggling making this fight. Not wanting to take a layoff, Tyson accepted fights against many average level opponents, and one of them was giant Lou SAVARESE, who stood 6'4". Being a top athlete, the guy was never the one to set the world on fire and spent a big part of his career as a gatekeeper. What did this psycho put on in the ring? After seconds from the start, small in comparison to SAVARESE, Tyson exploded with a left hook and dropped his opponent.
Has to get some respect because Mike's only got one speed. It's fast forward.
Within seconds, down.
Not giving him 1 second break, Iron went on Lou, punching him with such anger and power that he didn't even notice the referee, who was trying to save the helpless giant from him.
Races down on the canvas.
I told you SAVARESE is going to underestimate his speed and his power.
A barrage by Tyson. The referee, John Coyle, steps between.
Nah, he know. The commentator said he didn't notice. He know.
Stop it. Tyson says, "I'm sorry" to the referee. He said, "I'm sorry." He didn't hear John Coyle's instructions, and this fight may be over.
Eventually, they managed to stop Tyson and he got a TKO win. After the fight, fans heard this legendary interview with the line, "I want to eat his children."
I'm the best ever. There's never been anybody as ruthless. I'm Sonny Liston. I'm Jack Dempsey. There's no one like me. I'm from Nairclaw. There's no one that can match me. My style is impetuous. My defense is impregnable. And I'm just ferocious. I want your heart. I want to eat his children. Praise be to Allah.
Number 4. Jose Ribalta. Before becoming the youngest heavyweight champion of the world in history, Tyson faced really tough opponents. One of them was experienced Cuban Jose Ribalta. El Nino had a long list of accomplishments as an amateur where he won the Golden Gloves tournament several times. Apart from that, he had been preparing the Olympic selection, but in order to improve his family's financial situation, he decided to start his professional career, and this choice has paid off. After only 3 years of active performances, Ribalta was in the top 10 of WBC rankings. When he was offered to fight young Mike Tyson, Jose was coming into this fight riding on one victory, but he didn't doubt his skills. When boxers faced each other in the middle of the ring, they shocked the audience with a huge size discrepancy. Jacked and powerful Tyson was literally at least a head shorter than his opponent, as Revolta stood 6'4", which, however, didn't help him to cope with the young beast.
Yeah.
Jose was trying to work with his jab and keep the distance, but the pressure of Mike with his body movement did their thing was too much for Revolta. And right in the second round, the American scored a first knockdown
so the
with
combo,
a
the
double
low.
right.
Right hand by Mike Tyson is inviting.
With the lefty, baby! With the lefty!
What a shot.
When Cuban was covering his head, iron was damaging his midsection so hard that it forced him to drop his hands, and after that,
Those
Mike
low
was
hips are no
exploding
joke.
with hooks and uppercuts. As the fight went on, Mike managed to set up his left hook and dropped Revolta with it twice in round 8 and 10.
Shot, and Revolta's down.
After that, he simply pummeled this poor opponent against the ropes to finish the fight.
And that's it. I want to say that there's no way Revolta could win the fight.
Number 3, Sammy SCAFF. 1985. Mike just started gaining momentum and building up his legendary win streak step by step. At that time, he had only 13 fights as a professional and hasn't been tested against big opponents. First one to have such honor was lanky and anti-athletic American Sammy SCAFF, holding a record of 13-6.
Was Customado here?
Despite a tremendous discrepancy in skill and speed, Sammy could give Tyson hard times using his huge size advantage. But Mike
I don't
showed
think
everyone
so.
with his performance that he doesn't give a damn who is in front of him. It was a 10-round fight, which in my opinion was too much. The pressure of the talented newcomer was so relentless that SCAFF couldn't stop it with his arms extended. All he could do was throwing left hook and hope for the best. Mike got caught with this shot only once and then started piercing up his body's opponent. A mixture of hooks and overhands were landing on Sammy's head,
Mike,
and he had
way
no
more
clue
accurate.
what he came here for. At the end of the round, Tyson pressed his counterpart against the ropes and loaded
Can't
up
read
a
him.
monstrous left
Can't
hook,
keep up.
which broke his nose.
Поэтому, знаешь, как говорят, мастерство не пропьешь.
Throw wild punches.
Ну, вот и все. Слева.
The fight was stopped immediately, and the defeated, bloody-faced Goliath wouldn't recover for a long time.
Oh my god. Oh my god.
Number 2, David Jaco. And here comes the tallest
familiar.
opponent in the entire career of Tyson.
Oh.
At the turn of the 80s and 90s, there were many solid journeymen competing in the heavyweight division. They didn't aspire for prominent titles, but always showed great fights against any opponent. One of the main representatives of this boxer's class was David Jaco, and on his sports path, he faced many future and current, of the time, stars, among which were Donovan Ruddock, Oliver McCall, George Foreman. One of the newcomers Jaco had to test was Mike, who was looking for his 16th win. David stood 6'6", which was an enormous number even for a heavyweight. Everything nature gifted David over and above wasn't enough to keep up with Tyson. Agile Mike was evading every shot and literally snapped back his opponent's head with his bombs. Just 1 minute after the start, Jaco found himself on the ground, but it was just the beginning.
I respect him, but trying though. This guy.
Smelling the blood, Iron performed an execution and dropped his opponent again with a looping hook. Everyone was shocked to watch this tough guy putting a beating on for the Giant, while Mike kept throwing shots until a vicious right hook put a decisive end to this fight.
Literally any second. He's taken 2 counts. 3.
He had no chance.
It's all over. He could have stopped that
Finito.
before.
Number 1, Tyrell Biggs.
We know.
It had been already shown that in order to beat Tyson, being just taller than him isn't enough. To get it done, one had to be as fast as Iron and possess an equal pure physical power. Surprisingly, there was a guy like that. In 1987, Tyson was already a champion in 2 organizations, and not so long ago he captured the 3rd title. This tank looked unstoppable, and it seemed that no one could stand a chance against him. At that time, Tyrell Biggs came out. The American was the winner of the 1984 Olympics in Los Angeles,
that's what I
and he
knew.
held a perfect professional record of 15 wins and no losses. Apart from that, Tyrell had already faced and beat Tyson on his way to Olympics gold, which definitely made him more confident going into the second fight. Also, Biggs stood out even among many heavyweights with his size. Standing 5'4", the athlete had a long reach that he used well to outstrike Iron in their first fight.
I think I heard
Many
it wrong.
experts agreed that the world witnessed the best version of Mike ever that night. Despite his burning desire to get revenge for an amateur loss, Mike was incredibly patient. Nasty and precise jab of Biggs was simply not working against Iron, who was moving his head so well that it was impossible to land on him. On the other hand, right in the opening rounds, Tyson had set up his left hook that he was catching his opponent with over and over again. At some point, it was obvious that had Mike turned up a little bit, he would have surely knocked Tyrell out. But Tyson was stretching the fun. The size of Biggs became a curse for him as he couldn't move and react to shots fast enough, which caused him to get hit all the time. And in round 7, another leading hand hook ended this fight. What a brilliant performance by young Tyson. Whatever haters say, Iron really was a one-of-a-kind boxer. When everyone was cutting weight just to get a size advantage over their opponents, young Tyson chose a completely opposite kind of strategy, and in the era of giant heavyweights, he took an unexplored pathway and did what seemed impossible. Considering all traits and skills of Mike, it's more likely that he was the only one capable of implementing such an approach, and it only proves his genius and uniqueness.
That was the video, you guys. Hope you enjoyed. Like, comment, subscribe, all that good stuff, and hopefully I'll see you in another video. Appreciate you watching. Bye. My stomach been growling throughout this video. I need to go and eat something.